Hello everyone, it's Brett. Thanks for coming to my channel. Well, of course, it is the end of July, so what better time to do a wrap-up of the books that I read this month. I read 11 books, which was a decent month for me. Of course, I always want to do more, but you know, whatever, life. So I want to jump right in and talk about two books that are going to be coming out in the beginning of August. One, which will be out Tuesday, and the second one comes out the 16th. The first is Anthony Marra's Mercury Pictures Presents. Anthony Marra, of course, wrote A Constellation of Vital Phenomenon, and this is his first book in a while. It's already getting a lot of buzz because it's his first book in a while. He is a really great writer. This is what I thought. I thought the book was epic. First of all, it's a long book. It's dealing with a lot. It's about an Italian immigrant who comes with her mother to America in the 40s to California, and she ends up getting a job working for two producers who are at a startup studio that would eventually like to kind of rival the big boys like MGM and Warner Brothers. So, but there's her story. There's the story of her father that she left behind. There's the story of another boy who comes from Italy and his story. There's the story of her boyfriend who is Asian American and an actor and trying to break out of stereotypes. So all this to say, there is so much going on in this novel, not to mention there is World War II, Pearl Harbor, the Japanese, the internment of Asian people in America, racism, sexism, there's a lot. And I feel like he was trying to cover so much ground that at times it got bogged down a little bit. I think this is the kind of thing that story-wise would make an excellent limited series for like Netflix, because there is so much going on and there are a lot of characters. I liked it overall. I didn't love it. And that's really the only book this month that I felt that way about. And I was a little disappointed actually, but so I'm going to be interested to see how it's received by people when they start reading it en masse. En masse. Interesting. Okay, so the second book coming out August 16th is Ashley Winstead's The Last Housewife. This book was banana pants. Really fun, totally beach book, totally summer book. I say that with the caveat that it is not a light little frolicky thing. Absolutely not. It involves a woman who is married, who reconnects with a childhood friend of hers who has a podcast where they look for mystery, kind of a true crime podcast. They set out to investigate the suicide of two of her college friends that they believe were murders. There are cults. It is smash the patriarchy. There is sex, crazy, kinky.
Not for the faint of heart, let me just say, but
really, I really dug it. I thought it was really fun. I thought it had some smart things to say. A great beach, like I said, great beach read. That comes out August 16th. All right, next, Other Names for Love by Taimur Sumro. I talked about this in one of my last videos. I really liked this, having just read it. It's a very measured, haunting book about a Pakistani boy teenager who is forced to spend the summer with his father in Pakistan and their very rural farm where his father is going to try to make him a man. His father has a friend who has a son. The two boys have an attraction to each other. But that's only half the book. The book then jumps well over 20 years later when the boy Fahad has to go home back to the country to get the family's affairs in order. So I thought it was beautiful. I'm really excited and interested to see what Taimur comes out with next. He's a really interesting writer, and so I really enjoyed this. All right, next is The Beauty of Dusk by Frank Bruni. Frank Bruni was, of course, the food critic for the New York Times. He regularly does op-ed pieces for them. This is his story about waking up one morning and finding that he has a loss of sight in his right eye, as I point to my left eye. He had a loss of vision. So the book becomes a larger story beyond his dealing with that, and about how people deal with setbacks, how people deal with physical disabilities, all the things that kind of the hurdles that they're put in their life. And as we just age, how one copes. It's a really thoughtful, interesting book full of a fascinating collection of people that he comes across. I would recommend. In line with that, in terms of really good biographies, Viola Davis, Finding Me. I love Viola Davis. For those of you who are fans, this is a must read. Actually, what I would say is this is a must listen because she narrates it. First of all, hello, little Viola. She narrates this and it is amazing. I had no idea the kind of the hardships she faced growing up, the abject poverty that she grew up in, the adversity that she faced before she got to Juilliard, which is, I think, where many people know her story from there. But it's terrific. She is amazing and also an incredible writer. Another book I loved was Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. You know, I grew up in the whole time period with, I remember Atari, ColecoVision, the first Nintendos, all of it. So this story about two childhood friends who remain lifelong friends, a guy and a girl, who become game designers and become very wildly successful. It's terrific. It such a different story about friendship, and you don't have to know games to enjoy it. That's just the profession. It's really about them, and it's really beautiful. It reminded me almost of something that would have come out of the mind of John Irving a little bit. I'm so happy to see this getting so much attention. It's great. Speaking of great, I've raved so much about this. I will continue to rave. The Colony by Audrey McGee. This was the third book on the long list that I read, the Booker long list, and I will almost, it's got to make the short list. That's all I'm saying. It's got to make the short list. Great story, beautifully told, wonderfully executed. I love this. Can't say enough good things about it. The Swimmers by Julie Otsuka. This was one of those books that I thought was going to be on the long list for the Bookers originally. I really enjoyed this. It's very short. It begins with a group of swimmers in a pool, almost like a Greek chorus, and then it kind of distills down to a story about one of the swimmers who has dementia and her relationship with her daughter. It's devastatingly sad, but really beautiful. So would recommend. Speaking of the Bookers, The Trees, this is the fourth book that I'm reading now, which I'm going to finish. Well, I should say I'm finishing it tonight, so before this video is posted. This is fantastic. It is a blistering literary mystery that will grab you by the throat about a group of two Black detectives who are dispatched to very rural, racist Mississippi because there's been a series of brutal murders taking place of white men there. How the story plays out, what is actually going on. It's hilarious in the beginning and then quickly begins to get very dark. This is great, and I would highly recommend this. Okay, next is Her Majesty's Royal Coven by Juno Dawson. This is, and thank you for this, courtesy of Penguin. This was a fun read. I also listened to this, and a lot of it, which I'm glad I did because it takes place in London. The premise is there is a division of the government in London that is a coven of witches, Her Majesty's Royal Coven, who helps keep things in line. And it's about four girls who meet as, I was gonna say baby witches, younger witches, and are all become friends and then grow up and kind of what happens. But they are faced with, as all of these books have, some big evil that's going to come in and that they have to overturn. Now, the book took a turn halfway through for me, which I should have expected. I don't really want to give it away, but let's just say there are a lot of conversations in here that are very topical with everything that's going on in the news right now, with gender identity, with, again, the patriarchy, with female empowerment and feminism. All of these things are heavily addressed in this book. It's a great collection of characters. It took me a little bit to get into it and to keep everybody straight, but once I did, it's a lot of fun. The last but not least I want to talk about is Blake Crouch's Upgrade. Blake Crouch, to me, is like the modern day Michael Crichton. He writes these techno thrillers that have great premises and have just enough scientific technobabble that it seems legitimate, but I'm so confused by what the hell he's talking about that I just go along for the ride and believe it. And this one, it's a man who works for the division of the government that is connected to protecting people with genetics, genomes, and again, here we go. Scientific babble I don't really understand. At the start of the novel, he is in a reconnaissance mission trying to catch someone and where a bomb goes off and he is infected. His genome is distorted, altered, and as a result, he becomes almost superhuman. Not that he can fly or anything like that, but heightened strength, heightened awareness, all of these kind of things. That leads to him trying to find out who did this and what the ultimate end game is. It's really fun, reads super fast. If you need something you're like, going to the beach, don't know what to read, this is the book for you. That's it for me. That was my month in a nutshell. I hope you guys had a great month. Let me know if you've read any of these books and anything you liked or didn't like, or to also tell me things that you read this month that you love. I'd love to hear, to see if it's something I've read or see if it's something that I should be adding to my list. Thanks for watching, and I will see you tomorrow where I will be discussing what I'm going to be reading maybe in August. Thanks.